name is Joel Ferrara. I am from Virtual Reality South Africa. We are one of the oldest virtual reality companies in South Africa. We started doing virtual reality already in 1998. So today I'm going to do a short presentation on virtual reality in electricity and how it can be used by companies in the industry to enhance their businesses. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a video. It's not at all related to electricity, but it gives you a good idea about what virtual reality is and how far we have come over this past couple of years. So basically, as you can see from the reaction of those people in the video, they perceive that virtual reality is quite real. So basically, virtual reality has enhanced so much over the couple of years that what you're seeing is believing. And one of the toughest sales to do is actually to sell virtual reality in a 2D environment. So what we usually do is we invite people to come to our offices to come and experience their firsthand. So you guys are probably familiar with Samsung Gear VR. It's a virtual reality headset that you use your phone, and then you put your phone into the headset, and then better. Cool. So basically, you should be familiar with Samsung Gear. It's mobile virtual reality. So you can take your phone and you put it into the device, and then you can look around. But the limitation of that is basically you're a spectator in VR. So you can look around up and down, but you can't move inside virtual reality. So the experience that you saw here is making use of 6DoF virtual reality. So that basically means that you can look around, but now suddenly you can also move inside virtual reality. So you can go and pick up stuff, you can move stuff around, you can interact with stuff, you can look underneath stuff, pick it up, turn it around and stuff like that. So let me just go to the next slide here. So virtual reality is becoming so real that it's almost impossible to distinguish between what's real and what is happening in the virtual reality world. And this is basically the first commercial available virtual reality headsets that you can use. So people can be trained in virtual reality. Real world infrastructure can be designed in virtual reality. People can get to their entertainment from virtual reality. People can work in virtual reality. So to give you an example, there's these people in China that's busy developing a robot. So you can basically put your headset up on in South Africa, and then you can basically operate a robot that sits in China. And you can do real world stuff and real work in that environment. So one of the problems with robotics in the past is the artificial intelligence that actually drives the robot's intelligence. So now you can, with virtual reality, you can put a human with intelligence behind the robot. So the robot can function much better than with AI at this moment. Then people can travel in virtual reality. People in the future will actually choose to live in virtual reality. So to give you an example, at the moment we have so many devices in the real world. We've got a television, we've got a computer, we've got a smartphone, and thousands of other devices. So in virtual reality, one of our aims is to take those real world appliances and take it into virtual reality. So for instance, you can have a smartphone, a Samsung, in virtual reality. If you don't like it, you throw it away and you take an iPhone with exactly the same capability as what you would have in the real world. Now, with televisions, for instance, you might have a 55-inch television screen and you think that's quite awesome, it's quite big. But in virtual reality, you can have a screen as big as you want, and then also you can have 10 screens if you want. And that's the power of moving over to a virtual reality system and world. So we have done some work for South African companies in the past. This is one of the environments that we created for them. So on the left hand or the right hand side, you will see there's a power distribution box. So that's basically for alternative energy. Now that box have been designed in virtual reality. So the engineers, before they even had to do anything in the real world, they developed this in virtual reality, and they can go and open the cupboards and see how the batteries fit into the box. They have designed a special lock on, let's see if I can point there. So, yeah, it's not showing, but in any case, so on the lock system, they have created a specialized lock for security purposes and stuff. So in virtual reality, they could simulate that lock and they can see if that lock is working and if it's fitting into their design. So it also helps the engineers to find out if there's any problems with the cupboard when they designed it. So it basically helps them to visualize and see the cupboard before it exists in the real world. So then what we also did is, you'll see there's some solar panels there, and then there's also wind turbines. So the problem with real world scenarios is that we cannot always go to the field and see where these technologies are implemented. So now they can actually invite clients and they put them in this environment, and then the clients can see how this energy box is applicable to their environment. And they can walk through the solar panels, they can even walk up to the wind turbines, and they can see how it's actually working and how it's producing energy. So in this slide, this is basically the side of the box, and you can see there's the power distribution board. So how virtual reality help these people is they can learn about product innovation in a 3D environment. So you can again sit in South Africa, your engineer sits here, and you're working with a Chinese manufacturer. So he sits in China, he puts on a headset, you put on a headset, and then you can show him exactly what it looks like. You can walk up to any one of those circuit breakers, you can touch it and you can show him what's the idea behind it and how it works. So we can also create it as a system that's self-driven. So basically, when you are in the virtual reality world on your own, you can walk to the box, and when you look at stuff, it will tell you what it is about, how it works, and what's the benefit of those things. And then also electricians can be trained on how to connect the distribution box to power, and they can also learn how to exchange the batteries when the time comes. And also there's some quite intriguing equipment inside which allows remote monitoring of the system and so on. Then Also with augmented reality, I don't know if you guys are familiar with augmented reality. So augmented reality, you basically, there's several options that you can use. One of it is to put on glasses, and then in the augmented, then if you look at this distribution box, there will be information augmented onto the glasses, and you can see how to repair this this box from the location which you are at. Then it can also be used for remote repairing. So someone, when you have the goggles on, it's got a camera, and someone with maybe more expertise on the machine can then remotely tell you how to repair that machine. So again, that's just a closer up photo from the virtual reality experience of the solar panels. So as I said, you can walk around the solar panels, you can learn more about the solar panels, we can develop a system which shows you how to install the system, and then it can also be used for marketing. So if a client comes to your offices, they're interested in getting a solar panel installation, you can actually show them physically what it looks like in a virtual reality environment and explain the benefits to them in such a way. So here's another example. This is an image that I took of Trina Solar, of their website. So what they are doing with virtual reality is they've placed it on their homepage, and then when you visit their website, you can actually go on a virtual tour of their company, and you can see how they, the science behind it, the engineers, how they develop the solar panels. You can see a part of their manufacturing plant and stuff like that. So that's quite a unique way of actually building trust and showing clients that it's a proper company. So without you needing to go to China and to see if what they say is what they do, you can visit their website, go through the virtual tour, and you can see their infrastructures and facilities. So if you're sitting on this side and you need to find a supplier, and you're not planning to fly down to China, this certainly will help you to make that decision. So when you come to a company that doesn't have something like this, you will never be sure of what infrastructure they have to actually produce these kind of things. So here's another video. I just want to show you, we talked briefly about augmented reality. So I just want to show you how one of these systems works. So basically the technician is seeing that system, and he's got a camera on, and someone from a remote location can then basically tell him how to repair that system. So with augmented reality, we can, in the glasses, we can basically from a remote location mark the area where the person should focus on. So he sees it on his glasses, and then he can immediately focus on it, and then by instruction from the other side, he can basically find out how to repair that system. So it's also a great opportunity for, let's say something happens in a remote location, and it's not yet sure what is the problem, what resources are needed to fix that problem. So someone can go in with their augmented reality glasses, and they can basically film this and report back on what is needed to actually fix the problem. So it might be a simple problem that can be sorted out this way, but on the other side, the technicians will then also know from the video footage what is wrong, and they can prepare for it, so that when they come to the problem, they can immediately fix it. So here's another project that we did. This is basically a sewage plant. So it's an industrial plant. Now, I can't really show you in a 2D environment what it looks like, but it's basically a 3D model of a real-world facility. So you can turn this model around and look at it from different angles, and then you can also zoom into the model, and you can get really close to it. And then, I don't know if you know Google Street View, but basically they use 3D photography to film stuff that's on the ground. So similar to that, you can click on hotspots, and then you can basically go into that specific area and walk through it and see what the plant looks like. So now, one of the important things in building in general is BIM data, and it's basically builder's information management. So what we can do is, on the electrical side, we can map out all the electricity cables, the electricity circuit boards, the power distribution, and everything in this plant. And then if you are planning to do something on this plant, you can simply open the 3D model, and you can get a clear understanding of how the plant has been electrified, and the cabling, the power distribution, and all that stuff. And then what's also interesting is that when we scan this, we scan it with a laser scanner. So we know the distance of everything. So we can say from that side to that side is exactly 10 meters, for instance, without going back to the plant to measure it. So this is all information that can be used by insurance companies, banks. If it's a big plant, they don't have to go to the physical space to measure it. So let's say you need to do cabling, then you go to this model and you can basically find the dimensions of the cable that you would need. From this model, you can go to the site, and you will find it as you found it on the model. So yeah, that's basically what I was going to talk about. Is there any questions from your side?
Well, with the presentation that you've just shown, what I understand is that with virtual reality, you're able to sort of design real-world infrastructure in the virtual reality. So, for instance, when you go back to the slide where you show the distribution box with the PV panels at the background and the wind turbine generator, so what I get the sense of is that you can see how components fit together in the virtual reality. But what I'm interested in is, how are you able to keep up to date or keep up to speed with the actual status of the operating system, be it electrically or mechanically? Are you able to do so in the background instead of just having the mapped out infrastructure in the system?
So that is actually a very good question. So, let's see. So basically, at this moment, we're not doing that. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible. So already they are measuring quite a lot of stuff when the system goes into a real world environment. So it's data driven. So let me just go back to the slide. I just want to show you something there. So yeah, you can't really see it, so I'll just walk there. So that's basically a pointing antenna. So that antenna basically sends real-time information about everything that happens with that machine. So it's completely remotely operated as well. So there's not really someone necessarily to go to the machine to check the batteries or any of those stuff. It's all feed it back to the company. So what we could do is we can get a feed from a live feed, and then we can connect it to the machine in virtual reality, and that will be able to tell us exactly the information that you wanted to know. So yes, it's possible. So also, just on that note, so what I always say to people, they must think of this technology in 10 years' time. So this is the first commercial devices that we've got, and already seeing is believing. It's very real. You can open stuff, you can move it around, you can interact with stuff. But it's also still an emerging technology. So if you think of smartphones in '95, it was a brick. At the moment, this headset is quite big, but it looks very real. So in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, 30 years, 40, 50 years' time, it's going to be so real, and the real-world applications inside it, like what you mentioned, is going to be everyday experiences in virtual reality.